The alley late at night echoed with wails. Bang! He had been beaten all over his body. He only remembered speaking a few words of justice for a pretty lady just now. And then he found himself floating in the air. What's wrong with myself? He finally got admitted to graduate school after much effort. He hadn't had the chance to repay his parents. He didn't even have the opportunity to fall in love before being knocked unconscious. He should have exercised more if he had known earlier. It's really embarrassing to die like this. Suddenly, under his own gaze, his body began to move. His eyes sharpened and became piercing. He was still wondering who was controlling his body. An energy sucked away his soul. He opened his eyes again until he vanished. He felt a bit at a loss when facing the pitch-black environment. After some fumbling around, he accidentally fell to the ground. At the same time, he also stumbled over a night pearl. With a light, he looked at his body inside. What's this? Why so big? Just then, there happened to be a mirror next to him, and he turned his head to look at it. Oh my goodness! He exclaimed in surprise. Just that one sound caught the attention of the maidservant outside the door. A maidservant said, "The Saintess has been in seclusion for a long time." I heard noises inside the room and thought the Saintess had come out. Another maidservant took over and said, "Her Highness is currently breaking through the void refinement stage. Neither of us can disturb her." I looked at the reflection of myself in the mirror and said puzzledly, "Void refinement stage? What is that? Is this the immortal cultivation world?" Saintess? I came to my senses and held my cheeks in astonishment. I stayed calm for the whole night. Lin Fan sat on the ground to keep himself calm. He brainstormed many ideas about surviving in the immortal cultivation world. Since they have all crossed over, shouldn't there be a system in most novels? Then he waved his big hand. The system is activated, but it is silent. He doesn't even know what name this body is called. He has neither the system nor the memories of the previous owner. The only information he has is that the identity of this body is a saintess from the Saintess sect, with attendants. In any case, the status must be very high. He will first tidy up his appearance before investigating further for information. As expected, his hair was tangled up. No matter how he combed it with those clumsy hands, it just would not look neat. Half an hour later, Lin Fan, who had fixed his hair, realized that his physical appearance was indeed very attractive. The next step is the expression aspect. Is it innocent type? Or alluring type? Or aloof type? However, since it is Saintess, the last one is the most suitable. His current expression, combined with not breaking through after a month of seclusion, is very suitable. It would be perfectly reasonable for him to discipline his subordinates when he goes out later. However, this expression always feels somewhat familiar. Didn't it appear on his own body before? Forget it, I don't want to think about it anymore. Intelligence is still important. He arrived at the door, intending to act low-key. But with a gentle touch, he smashed the door to pieces. Two maids were also frightened by his actions. One of the maids guessed that he encountered a problem in his breakthrough. At this moment, Lin Fan was also shocked by the power of pushing the door himself. He silently reminded himself not to panic, as he was the Saintess. He awkwardly cleared his throat. He asked them how long they had been in seclusion. He also inquired about any recent events that had taken place here. He listened to their answers. More confused than ever, he only knew that this place was called Eastern Desolation. He himself was a Saintess, and his sect was called Sacred Land. Oh, this Sacred Land sounds prestigious at first listen. Besides myself, the Saintess, there is also a saint, who has already broken through the void refinement stage. Rumors say that the battle for the first sequence will take place 1 year from now. The win rate of Saintess is very low. She was interrupted by another maid before she finished speaking. The other maid gestured for her not to speak nonsense. After that, she then praised Lin Fan. The Saintess is the strongest, the best, the most awesome. At this moment, Lin Fan's state was low. because 1 year later, this body will have to compete with Saint for the first sequence. The true Saintess in the city is feeling a long-lost pain. She is still questioning where the pain is coming from. A few hoodlums nearby are shouting, "Let's beat him up together, brothers!" Without surprise, they were all stepped on by her. The Saintess speculated that she might have failed in her breakthrough. This is when a girl, who was being bullied by hoodlums in the inner demon realm, took the opportunity to call the police. Waited for the police to arrive, and recounted the process of the incident. The police were also confused when they arrived. Does mobbing a person mean one person mobbing all of them? On the main road, Saintess looked at the traffic disrupted by her. She only realized that this place was not like the inner demon illusory realm when she looked at the onlookers. She felt more like she had possessed this body herself. As the esteemed Violet Palace Saintess, she inexplicably ended up here, and even transformed into a man. Could this be the punishment for a failed breakthrough by force? Within the immortal cultivation sect, Lin Fan relied on the identity of the Saintess with this body. Lin Fan feasted and drank lavishly here. He looked at the beautiful scenery of the mountains and rivers here, feeling extremely comfortable. And the female lead, Chi Amethyst, is very disgusted with this mortal body. This body lacks true essence, cannot practice Bigu, which is immediate cultivation. She angrily pounded her own body, angry that she had come to this world without spiritual power. Suddenly, a fragrance wafted over. Chi Amethyst suddenly looked towards the opposite steamed bun shop. She exclaimed, "Are mortals' food so fragrant?" She pondered that at this point, the best way to replenish energy was to eat. But she didn't have any money herself. Coincidentally, the owner of the steamed bun shop called out, "Hey handsome, come and have a taste. My family's buns are not delicious, so you don't have to pay." Chi Amethyst was surprised to hear this. She quickly asked, "Is it true?" The boss instantly felt that this person was not normal, and casually replied, "Yes, it's true." Chi Amethyst immediately picked up the bun and started nibbling on it. She felt the delicious taste of food from the mortal world. The boss was still boasting about himself behind her back. Chi Amethyst turned around, two teary eyes saying it's not tasty. The boss can't be relied on the other hand. The police officers, who worked on the case, just finished their work yesterday. They were about to go buy breakfast to eat. Even the police officers, who checked the surveillance footage overnight, sighed at how skilled Chi Amethyst, who took over Lin Fan's body, was. But why did he keep getting beaten up earlier? The two of them joked that this was the time for accumulating anger. The steamed bun shop is already surrounded by people, and there's no way out. The police comrades hurried forward to check. It turned out to be the kid who got beaten up yesterday. At this moment, he was holding several baskets of steamed buns, jumping up and down. He was muttering that it was your own fault for saying they weren't delicious, and not wanting to pay. A police officer shouted, "It's you? The kid who knocked down those 3 men last night." Chi Amethyst realized that they are the bailiffs of this world. This is troublesome. It seems they should have cleaned up those 3 guys before leaving. The owner of the Bowsy shop thought he was here to help. She grabbed the policeman's hand and cried out, "This guy ate Bowsy without paying. He even said that the Bowsy in my shop tastes bad and stuff like that." Suddenly, Chi Amethyst's feet were nimble. She hopped away from the scene by stepping on the faces of passers-by. The police comrades were excited about this. It's rare to see someone with such good skills. Within the Violet Palace sacred land, 2 maids were discussing that the Saintess has been unable to make a breakthrough for a couple of months. She must be under a lot of pressure. We must not provoke her, otherwise, it could lead to big trouble. With a bang, Lin Fan pushed open the door and said to the maids, "I want to take a bath," which surprised the maids. The maids then confirmed again that yes, he wanted to take a bath. Lin Fan lay in the bathtub with a splash, exclaiming how refreshing it was. He looked at his chest as if he had discovered a new continent. It turns out that these hills really do float. On Earth, Chi Amethyst is still on the run. These two bailiffs have been chasing her for a whole day. Although she could take them down, she feels that there is something threatening about them. It's better to be cautious. The police officers chasing behind kept exclaiming, "Is this kid even human? I've never seen someone run so fast. And he was even eating while running. It's too insulting." Chi Amethyst looked down disdainfully at the two chasing after her. She was not an ordinary person like them. Suddenly, her soul trembled, and a buzzing sound rang in her ears. Lin Fan was shocked when he saw the figure floating in front of his chest. He blacked out and returned to his own body. Just as he was rubbing his eyes and saying how big and white it was, Lin Fan suddenly stopped in surprise. "Ah, why is it a bun?" He was handcuffed before he could react. Desperate Lin Fan was locked up in prison like this. At this moment, Chi Amethyst returned to her own body. She looked confusedly at herself, who was taking a bath. Still the bald herself. She instantly saw herself in that man's body. And the man came to her body. She thought about him bathing with her body. Uncontrollable killing intent, directly shaking and bursting the bathtub. This killing intent surged out and broke through the entire mountain peak. The entire sacred land is bustling with extraordinary excitement. A true immortal looked at this scene inside. This child actually got angry. Perhaps this is not a bad start. The other men playing chess together just said, "Boring." Perhaps this sacred land is about to become lively, beyond the mountains. The disciple sense the aura of the Saintess and say, "The Saintess cultivates the purple chi from Yi's technique, pursuing a flawless and pure heart." However, this overwhelming killing intent. At this moment, a disciple turned to the eldest senior sister at the Violet Palace and said, "This is a perfect opportunity to seize the position of the Saintess." The eldest senior sister said firmly, "The most important thing is whether Amethyst's junior sister is safe." She nodded, but a strange smile appeared on her face. Different from the others. Violet Palace fortune teller just feels noisy. Fong Wu may not have seen the anger erupting, but he seemed to have seen everything. Dan Shinzi, the chief disciple of Dan Refining, has been here for 2 months. He has not come out yet, but he can feel the surging anger. Dan Shinzi from the Violet Palace Dan sect laughed out loud. Hee, the revival of Dan sect is just around the corner. At this moment, Saintess-She Amethyst sincerely shouted out her best wishes. "Scoundrel! I'm not done with you." The camera shifted. Lin Fan, who was played into the police station by the Saintess, is currently being questioned. Gender, age, occupation, residential address. The police officer professionally asked him if he knew why he was here. He himself was very embarrassed and asked himself what he had done. The person asking thought Lin Fan was drunk. He then pulled out his phone to play a video, showing Lin Fan his performance record. Lin Fan in the video was constantly being beaten up. Then he single-handedly took down the other 3 with punches and kicks. He also has other brilliant achievements. You stole the steamed buns without paying and even attacked the police officer on the side. Everyone was shocked to see this. Lin Fan was stunned too. Stealing steamed buns and attacking the police? Is this self-made? No, this must be the work of that Saintess, Chi Amethyst, for sure. This is too tricky. How long am I going to stay in there for her series of actions? Listening to the police's questions, Lin Fan fell into deep thought. How should I respond? To say it was done by the Saintess of the immortal cultivation world. If I say that, I'll be treated as mentally ill and locked up. No choice. Lin Fan had to admit his actions. I admit that I got drunk and high. Fortunately, the police comrade's mindset is not so narrow. Just got stepped on, that's it. Lin Fan is still worrying about whether he'll end up in prison. But the police said, "We were originally going to verify and reward you for your act of bravery. We didn't expect you to snatch the buns and step on my head. So I just arrested you." Upon hearing this, Lin Fan stood up excitedly. I will definitely apologize to the shop owner for the bun incident. But the police said someone has already compensated for you. The stall owner is very satisfied and will not pursue the matter any further. Lin Fan was puzzled, asking, "Who was it?" The police said it was the girl you bravely rescued who compensated for you. Lin Fan looked puzzled upon hearing this. Later, Lin Fan signed and left. Lin Fan, who was asked to leave the office, walked confusedly in the corridor. He walked out of the police station in confusion. Is my immortal cultivation journey over just like this? Lin Fan, who was in confusion, heard a sweet voice calling out, "Brother! You finally came out. I'd been waiting to thank you in person." Lin Fan turned his head, all his attention on the beautiful girl in that Porsche 911. Jo Nana is a few years older than Lin Fan. Therefore, she asked Lin Fan to call her sister Nana. Afterwards, she asked Lin Fan for his address and invited him to get into her car. Coincidentally, Jo Nana's younger brother is in the same college as Lin Fan. However, her brother moved out because the dormitory was too rundown. Lin Fan also agreed that it was indeed the case. If the rent wasn't too expensive, he would have moved out himself. Upon hearing this, Jo Nana said she has a few buildings that she can rent to Lin Fan at a lower price as a token of gratitude. Upon hearing this, Lin Fan was stunned. Several buildings? This is a real wealthy woman. But he still had a buddy who was studying with him. Lin Fan tearfully refused out of loyalty. Although he really wanted to accept, the beneficiary of this kindness was not himself. Jo Nana praised Lin Fan for being so loyal and said, "Whenever you want to find a place, just contact me directly." After bidding farewell to Jo Nana, Lin Fan was thinking that he had been nice enough to Wang Dong, practically being like his adoptive parents. In the past, Wang Dong had said to him, "Since neither of us has a girlfriend, we are brothers from different parents." And now everything he has done is totally saintly. He even gave up the chance to be a kept man. When Lin Fan returned to the dormitory, his habitual phrase was just, "Brothers from different parents." But at this moment, Lin Fan couldn't believe his eyes. His half-brother actually brought his girlfriend to the dormitory and even planned to kiss. This blow instantly petrified him on the spot. His roommate's words were sharp as a knife. He thought Lin Fan had fled after causing trouble. His bedsheets had just been washed. Therefore, he would use your bed. After all, we are like brothers. You won't mind, right? Don't let the counselor find out. Also, make Lin Fan spend 2 nights at the internet cafe as punishment. Wang Dong also told him to eat whatever he wanted, and he would reimburse him later. Then Lin Fan was pushed out of the room. Lin Fan remained petrified throughout the entire process without saying a word. Meanwhile, his roommate Wang Dong continued to be affectionate with his girlfriend in the room. Lin Fan cursed at him in his heart and made up his mind to move out of this painful place. The scene changed from night to day. Chi Amethyst's anger continued to erupt. She thought about Lin Fan using her body to take a shower. She was trembling with anger, but then she thought, what she feared most was being mentally unstable. So she could only bite her lip in secret. I must calm down now. Although I don't know why our spiritual souls swapped. If it happened once, that's okay, but if it happens again. But now I can't report to the master. And I have made an agreement with the saint. If I report it, won't that show weakness? This won't do. We must find a solution. Then she took out a sacred soul stone to make preparations. She planned to leave an image in advance. She wanted to record her identity and information. This way, she could restrain that rude and unreasonable brute. However, she felt that after this exchange, the spiritual power was running more smoothly than before. She was even a little curious about what he had done with her body. On this side of the earth, Lin Fan is following the wealthy lady Jo Nana to the residential area. The two arrived in front of a single-story building. Sister Nana said, "Here is a 1-bedroom apartment with all the furniture and appliances included. She took out a key and turned it. Oh, it seems like this is not the right one. Let me try another key. It doesn't seem to be this one either. How strange. After apologizing to Lin Fan, she took out the key again. This time, what she took out made Lin Fan wide-eyed in amazement. He looked at this long string of keys. However, the wealthy lady Zhou Nana said that having too many keys was too annoying. Lin Fan was very willing to share this kind of annoyance for her in his heart. Later, the wealthy lady threw the key ring to Lin Fan and asked him to help hold it for a moment. He instantly felt really heavy. Could this be the feeling of having wealth in hand? Zhou Nana playfully stuck out her tongue and said, "Look at my memory. That was actually the key ring from the neighboring building." This is such a humble brag. He feels the heavy weight of Zhou Nana's wealth symbol. Lin Fan had only this expression on her face when she opened the door to the room. Lin Fan was also dumbfounded when she saw this room. This is really great. Everything is complete. He can just move in with his bag. Enter the house. Lin Fan looked around and felt that everything was really great. Then, he was extremely satisfied and handed over the QR code with both hands. He wanted to transfer money on the spot. The wealthy lady Zhou Nana skillfully took out a POS machine and said, "How did you manage to break your phone? You are too frugal. The screen is all cracked." Lin Fan also noticed that his phone screen was broken. He vaguely remembered it happened when he got beaten up. Oh no, it was when Saintess beat up those thugs. It's alright, the phone can still be used. After listening to this, Zhou Nana fell silent for a moment, then bid farewell when leaving. Zhou Nana said she usually lives in the building opposite. If there's anything, you can go directly to her. Lin Fan decided on the spot to move over in the afternoon. He couldn't help but feel that wealth is truly wealth, owning even the building opposite. Now he finally has his own nest, no longer afraid of being in someone else's territory. At this moment, what he most wants to know is, will he still cross over? On this side of the dorm, Wang Dong is hugging his girlfriend and playing on the computer. Lin Fan ignores him and starts packing up his own things. He leaves without saying a word. Returning to the new home at night, he can't help but feel how comfortable the place is, and then busies himself with some work. He found a phone box on his desk. There was also a thank you note. This is the phone Zhou Nana sent to thank Lin Fan for helping out of the predicament. Although I feel unworthy, I also need it. Zhou Nana is really nice. We should get along well in the future. He tidied up the room, cooked instant noodles, but Lin Fan still wants to have a big meal to celebrate. Unfortunately, he is poor and still has to save money. Later, he took out the phone given by Zhou Nana, activated it, and connected to the internet. All the smart home devices in the house were also connected. The sound effects of the smart prompts were so realistic. This really made Lin Fan marvel at the power of technology. Lin Fan, eating instant noodles, is watching the drama Immortal Cultivation. He was thinking about how cool it would be if he could time travel again. He could come back with a cultivation method or something like that. Wouldn't that be awesome? As soon as he finished speaking, his body emitted a burst of colorful light. Chi Amethyst thought to himself, luckily he had made preparations in advance. That guy surely wouldn't dare to act recklessly. Then she looked at the instant noodles in her hand. She looked confused, unable to resist taking a bite. A phrase of, "smells delicious," spread throughout the entire community. Lin Fan, who looks confused, is staring at the furniture around him in Violet Palace. He suddenly cheered, "I'm back again!" Then a voice came from behind him. A person exactly like him stood behind him and said, "You are rude, vulgar, despicable, shameless, and barbaric. Listen carefully. I am the owner of this body, Chi Amethyst. If you see this message, it means we have once again exchanged spiritual souls. In order not to be heard by outsiders, a soundproofing barrier has been set up in this room. Although the message keeps talking, this holographic-like thing piqued Lin Fan's curiosity. She also requires Lin Fan to follow the following rules. Otherwise, you will get into trouble, humph. Lin Fan doesn't fall for this. I have been fooled by you quite a bit, and you want to establish your authority over me? I haven't settled the score with you yet. Besides, we both know each other's secrets. What can you do? But leaving a mark with a single sentence, I can turn you into a eunuch. This instantly dispelled Lin Fan's arrogance. Leaving a mark, continue to say that she was originally a woman controlling men. But it will be much easier after becoming a eunuch. Sure enough, this paragraph scared Lin Fan a lot. He felt that something was wrong from the first rule. And then the video kept talking about Rule 39. Lin Fan felt tired of listening. The host felt that it was just like the viewers' wives explaining things. It's taking forever to get to the point. Then he slapped his own cheek. He tried to wake himself up a bit, since he had traveled through time this time too. He is preparing for future time travels. He regretted not bringing back the cultivation method to practice last time. This time he can't miss it, arriving in front of the image. He carefully observed the original owner's expression. After achieving a 100% synchronization, he adjusted himself and then gave himself some psychological comfort. As long as he didn't cause any trouble, he should not castrate me. However, since he has come here, how can he return empty-handed? He walked out of the room directly and inquired about the news from the maids. The maids revealed every detail of the library to him. When the maids heard that the Saintess was going to the library, they were extremely surprised. However, despite their astonishment, they exchanged glances, bowed, and arranged for transportation to prepare for departure. There was no way they would dare not to listen to the Saintess. The maids arrived at the edge of the cliff. They grabbed a leaf, flicked it, and it instantly transformed into a golden arc. Wow! Is this the transportation of the immortal cultivator? So cool and dazzling. They just didn't know if the pushing force of this leaf would be particularly strong. With a shout from the maids, the speed was so fast that only a lingering afterimage was left behind. Lin Fan exclaimed in excitement. So fast! So thrilling! Meanwhile, the instant noodles that Lin Fan hadn't had a chance to eat were gobbled up by Chi Amethyst. She also casually complained about the thin spiritual power here. But surprisingly, the food was very distinctive. She didn't forget to comment on the TV shows here. This kind of photo-taking spiritual artifact is indeed extraordinary. However, the cultivators in TV dramas only have the low-level cultivation in her world. I thought this was just a world with depleted spiritual power. A world where the path to immortality is hopeless. But looking at this photo, there seems to be some hope. I just don't know where Long Tiger Mountain is located. Just as these words were spoken, she triggered the voice intelligence system. iPair immediately found the specific coordinates of Long Tiger Mountain. Then it also detailed the introduction. She listened to the introduction of iPair. Chi Amethyst, surprised, asked, "Who?" iPair also responded, "Hello. Lin Fan, I am your life assistant." Chi Amethyst mocked, "This name is indeed as mediocre as this body." She looked at this phone, which she mistook for an artifact spirit. She felt that the world suddenly became interesting. Chi Amethyst curiously asked how to get to Long Tiger Mountain, thinking that the answer to the differences between this world and her world might be hidden in the polite inquiry about the mode of transportation to Long Tiger Mountain by plane or by train. The vocabulary that poses no problem to ordinary people holds a different picture in the mind of Chi Amethyst. She envisions only flying chickens and flaming horse-drawn carriages. She marvels at how this world is truly becoming more interesting. She responds that she will walk there. iPair also plans a walking route for her. If she walks, it will take about 40 days to reach her destination. 40 days sure are a drag. Looking at the situation where the soul changes every few days. She can't even make it there without sleeping, let alone if the original body's owner doesn't cooperate. In that case, it's not realistic for her to travel so far using this body. Suddenly Chi Amethyst heard a word reported by iPair. She also thought that Buddha's temptation would be a paradise. I didn't expect it was just a dish of southern Fujian cuisine with a grandiose name. If her Buddhist sect in that world knew about it. Ipair is still broadcasting the recipe for this dish. A series of ingredients added with broth and aged wine, stewed over low heat to make it. Chi Amethyst couldn't help but salivate at the sound of it. She pouted and said, "I want to eat this." The intelligent system immediately responded. "Takeout has been ordered. All you need to do is pay." "Like this?" She looked at the finger-like icon on the screen. Chi Amethyst tapped on it. Ding. "Payment successful. Please continue to order takeout." There are many foods here that she has never heard of. She wants to try them all. In a little while, she placed 20 orders. Someone's wallet is in for a hard time. Because the purchase was declined again. It looks like Lin Fan has run out of balance. The takeout expert was ultimately defeated by the balance in the card. Ipair automatically played a prompt. Enjoy life while you can. Don't be stingy in loving yourself. In that moment, she felt a warmth like never before. She recalled her life. Gifted since childhood, she wholeheartedly cultivated after being brought into Violet Palace. There are those who admire and revere her, but there are even more who envy and oppose her. Even her benevolent master only gives strict discipline. Seldom are there such warm words. Chi Amethyst picked up her phone and said affectionately, "Ipair." "Thank you," the phone replied too. "I am very happy to be able to help you. Please feel free to chat with me more in the future." Chi Amethyst started to explore this world in this way. She made Ipair begin with this dormitory-like magical treasure. Are trains and planes also means of transportation for mortals? When she wants to continue chatting with Ipair. Mobile phone prompts low battery. And the way to replenish is by charging. After hearing this, Chi Amethyst couldn't sit still at all. "Ipair, please speak up quickly, Ipair." At this time, there is someone warmly greeting. "I see you're turning into a lunatic." Chi Amethyst looked up to express her gratitude. She glanced at the person in front of her and felt a hint of familiarity. The person introduced himself again. "I'm the police officer who caught you last time. My name is Wu Guodong." It seems that after the soul transmigration, that Lin Fan was indeed caught. Wu Guodong looked at Chi Amethyst warily. He said he just happened to come over to investigate a case and took the opportunity to pay a visit. Just look for me. In the world of immortal cultivation, Lin Fan is also not idle. On his way to the scripture pavilion, he heard many rumors. All were talking about breakthrough failures, demonic possession, and the like. But Lin Fan didn't care about these at all. His most pressing matter now is to get his hands on a few cultivation methods secret manuals that he can understand and memorize. All he needs is to master a move or two, and he will be able to walk sideways on Earth. By then, he will be the first immortal cultivator on Earth. Thinking of this, he is so excited that he almost bursts out laughing. But in order to maintain the prestigious image of a saintess, he can only hold back his excitement. A saintess must be elegant. Shortly after, he arrived in front of a small dilapidated house. Lin Fan thought that a normal scripture repository must be very majestic. Most likely behind the broken house, he focused his eyes and took a look. The sign on the broken house reads, "Scripture Repository." Oh boy, this is too simple. The statue at the door is the same as the stone lions at the entrance of a restaurant. He suddenly realized that this could be a mortal cultivation world, maybe some kind of immortal being. He respectfully completed his luggage and continued on his way towards his secret manual. At this moment, the stone statue emitted a sinister voice. It is interesting that a little girl with that cultivation level and soul consciousness still cannot detect our presence. Lin Fan, who entered the scripture pavilion, was so surprised that he couldn't even close his mouth. The small broken house outside. After coming in, it's unexpectedly several floors up and down. Could this be the legendary dimensional pocket? But such a large scripture library. Where should I start looking? A voice calling, "Junior sister," came, causing Lin Fan to turn around in confusion. That was the eldest senior sister from the Violet Palace. She said in surprise. Junior sister, is it really you? Lin Fan broke out in a cold sweat. Could it be that he would bump into an acquaintance so soon? What bad luck. How should he act? The eldest senior sister Yukiana appeared very concerned about Amethyst's condition. She has grown stronger again, actually able to conceal herself like an ordinary person. While Lin Fan thought to himself, her attitude is so good. She probably has a good relationship with the original host. And she even called her junior sister, so they must have a close relationship. Then she said, Senior sister, I happen to have something to ask for advice. What is it? Ask for advice? She called me senior sister? Am I taking advantage of her? This woman is clearly trying to humiliate me for entering the door earlier than her, but not being as good as her. Lin Fan said, according to what you see, the scriptures of the lower and upper levels. Which level is more precious? Yukiana looked confused by this question. Junior sister, what do you mean by this? Of course, the upper level is more precious. Lin Fan replied happily. Is that so? Is that what you think? She politely thanked senior sister, and then hurried straight to the 7th level. The Yukiana stood frozen in place at the sound of, Thank you. Today is really unusual. She actually said thank you too. Lin Fan, walking on the stairs, felt that this setting was very much in line with immortal cultivation novels. The foundation of the lower level. The higher you go, the fewer people there are. She reached the 7th floor and pushed open the door. This mysterious and fantastical feeling is like an endless sea. Countless crystals float around. Is this the legendary jade slip, where I can see its contents by infusing true essence into it, for example? Wait, infusing true essence and all that, I have no idea. Goodbye. So he had to start searching from downstairs. After reading it, Lin Fan was even more confused. The starting point of these books is too high. Always teaching people about transformation and artifact forging. The lowest requirement is to cultivate in a spiritual vein treasure land. If I go back to my own world, where can I find a spiritual vein treasure land? At this moment, the people on the 1st floor are discussing one after another. How could the prestigious Saintess come to the 1st floor and flip through books one by one? Subsequently, their conclusion was that a powerful cultivation method had been left behind here. Yukiana heard this and found some truth in it. She recalled the words that were just spoken and mentally visualized Lin Fan's expression. I must take down this sacred art by myself. Lin Fan over here is still reading those strange cultivation methods like Chrysanthemum Acupoint Strike the Butt Lift Technique and Youth Cultivation Manual 5 years Foundation Establishment and 3 years Simulation. What are all these? Have they read too many novels? Don't get caught up in the trend blindly. Sacred art is still worldly. I just want to find a book that can be used on Earth. But there are no practical books available. Even the recipes use Millennium Ginseng as a base ingredient. How can I show off when I go back to Earth? In the Violet Palace, a servant hurriedly reported an urgent matter to Saint, but he was stopped by a steward at the door. The servant was afraid that if Saintess obtained the mysterious book, it might affect the battle for the first sequence, but the steward thought these things were insignificant. Saint was already invincible. At this moment, Saint walked out of the room. Disdainfully he asked, Are you saying Saintess is in the scripture pavilion? The hastily arriving disciple immediately knelt down and reported. He heard that the Saintess just came out from the 7th floor. Then she started to read through the books one by one starting from the 3rd floor. Saint sneered and said, The 1st floor, huh? He recalled what Master had said before. Amethyst's emergence this time may not have led to a breakthrough in strength, but it has reached a new realm. You must keep working hard. The winner between them in the battle for the sequence a year later remains to be seen. Saint thinks that the scripture repository is no longer helpful to either side. Could it be that she has new insights this time? He then waved his big hand and prepared the boat. Depart for the scripture repository. At this time, There was a sea of people at the entrance of the scripture repository. Lin Fan exerted an enormous amount of effort to squeeze his way out. He looked at the crowded entrance of the Tibetan scripture pavilion. Lin Fan was delighted. Junior brothers and sisters, I'm sorry. Please continue looking. Fortunately, he finally found a usable one. It's a martial arts book for mortal beings in the mundane world, which immortal cultivation people disdain. This is perfect for me, a mundane person on earth. Good. With a loud paw, Lin Fan seemed to have bumped into someone. Only hearing the white-haired man across them give a light cough. Lin Fan slightly apologetically said, "Sorry." "Are you okay?" He hadn't finished speaking yet, when Saint took the initiative to challenge. "You've been in seclusion for a long time. Your arrogant attitude has indeed improved a lot." "Huh? No way. How did you run into yet another acquaintance? Is the immortal cultivation world that small?" The man with white hair didn't wait for Lin Fan to respond. He raised his hand and gathered light. He shouted that he wanted to test Lin Fan's current level. Then he directly exploded his chi. A dazzling light shone through the door of the scripture pavilion. Yukiana and the disciples all sensed the aura of the saint. They speculated that the saint or saintess might be in a conflict because of the sacred book. Hey, it's going to be interesting to watch. Lin Fan outside the door feels very confused. Who the heck is this, always exploding with anger at the drop of a hat? Just slapped him once. Isn't it too much to kill me? I don't know how to fight. Looking at the disheveled Saint, Lin Fan sneered and said, "No. Out. Sick." Although I didn't understand, I felt a very powerful aura. Everyone in the scripture pavilion burst into laughter upon seeing this scene. They would love to place bets on the spot to see who wins or loses. Yukiana looked at the two of them with a sinister gaze. She sneered to herself, "Fight all you want, the fiercer the better. These two are just lucky. Once I obtain the position of the Saintess, all these so-called saints will be at my feet." On Lin Fan's side, Saint openly insults the inner disciples, saying they are all insignificant ants. Walking alongside these people, no wonder you can't make any progress. After speaking, he glances contemptuously at the disciples behind him. Incompetent people. The expressions of the inner disciples are all like that of Yukiana. Clearly furious, but they dare not erupt. "You scoundrel, you are nothing but a good-for-nothing." Stimulated by Lin Fan's outburst, Chi also exploded immediately. This terrifying aura instantly overshadowed Saint's golden light. Saint said in surprise, "How dare you defy me?" But in his heart, he was somewhat fearful. This aura was already showing signs of being able to rival mine. Lin Fan here is relentless in seeking justice. He described Saint's recent violent act. Clearly, it was just a minor collision, but Saint is bullying people like this. At this moment, Saint noticed the book in Lin Fan's hand. He had a suspicion that it might be because of this book. So he waved his hand and continued to unleash his chi. Lin Fan was shaken by this pressure and quickly retreated. He finally managed to stabilize his footing. Lin Fan thought it was close earlier. It's a good thing that my body automatically unleashed chi. I can't afford to reveal any flaws. Although I can't beat the guy, I can't afford to lose face for the Saintess. He was thinking anxiously, and he thought of a solution. I saw Lin Fan brushing past Saint and walking straight out. "What's going on?" Saint turned around and questioned Lin Fan. "Are you trying to escape?" Lin Fan, possessed by the Virgin Mary, immediately started to argue. This scripture repository is a treasury of books, a hall of knowledge. How many fellow practitioners have come here after going through hardships, just for the chance to learn more knowledge, to gain the opportunity to change their destiny? And you, causing trouble and stirring up trouble in such a sacred place. Is this your hobby? Treading upon what others hold dear? Have you ever thought about the feelings of those fellow practitioners whom you have disturbed? No, you haven't. You only care about yourself. He feels great standing on the moral high ground and pointing fingers. This has garnered applause from the onlookers. He directly grasped the technique of winning public opinion. I thought I had already won this round. But Saint pulled out the trump card and made a threat. You speak without restraint. Have you ever considered the face of the Qinyuan family? I advise you not to be too arrogant before getting married. Oh my, what's going on? Does Chi Amethyst really have an engagement? Upon hearing this, Lin Fan was sweating profusely, and quickly left this place of controversy. Next time, he must clarify the matter of the engagement. However, Lin Fan still feels confused up to now. Who was that person just now? Nevertheless, his quick reaction was handled appropriately without losing face. He returned to the Arkansas. The two lovely maids greeted Lin Fan, saying things like, "Welcome back," and "You're amazing." Paired with their silly expressions, Lin Fan felt even more flustered. They're too cute. The maids continued. Madame Saintess just now really showed off her awe-inspiring grace against Saint. 1 year from now, in the battle for the first sequence, you will definitely emerge victorious. Hee. Listening to the maid boast, Lin Fan was just about to keep a low profile. Suddenly realized. Who did you say I defeated? The maid gestured and danced while talking about the usual deeds of Saint and Saintess, and so on. At this point, Lin Fan has entered a crash state. Was the dead fish eyes just now Chi Amethyst's fiancé? I'm in big trouble. I'm in big trouble. Before exchanging bodies with Immortal Cultivator, be sure to modify your payment password. Otherwise, the curious immortal being may use up all your credits ordering takeout. Groups of delivery drivers head towards Lin Fan's new home. The delivery guy in the blue shirt with a little duck on it asked professionally for a good review. Although Chi Amethyst didn't quite understand, she seemed to catch something. She spoke to the delivery guy as if giving orders to a maid. Got it. Then closed the door swiftly. A group of delivery guys outside fell into contemplation. Chi Amethyst in the room commented on the various takeout orders just received. Buddha's temptation is pretty good, but I prefer this Yangzhou fried rice. She looked at couch potato's happy drink with a hint of disdain, but took a sip right away. The feeling like basking in the spring breeze made Chi Amethyst sigh. The taste was sour and spicy, yet actually refreshing and sweet, quite interesting. Then she confirmed with iPair what this thing was called. This triggered iPair's intelligence again, and automatically added the cola to the shopping cart. She continued her happy online shopping. The dialogue from the TV series caught Chi Amethyst's attention. If it weren't for me, who do you think you are? You are just a leftover woman, relying solely on being a servant girl. Do you think becoming a branch manager can make you regret your marriage? This touched Chi Amethyst's memories, anger levels rising. With a flick of the hand, the cola was thrown away, prompting iPair to quickly change the channel. So the TV automatically switched back to watching the Immortal Cultivation TV drama that was originally being watched. Just saw in the TV drama, the Immortal Cultivation character raised his sword to summon lightning, using the power of nature to condense his moves. This novel spell garnered Chi Amethyst's appreciation. The momentum of summoning heavenly thunder has not been created by anyone on their side. Suddenly, there were flashes of lightning and rolling thunder outside. There seemed to be a gathering momentum of ninefold heavenly thunder. But the next second, the Chi Amethyst returned to its own body. She secretly calculated, and indeed, it was still the regular exchange every 3 days. The paper and pen on the table caught Chi Amethyst's attention. She thought to herself that Lin Fan even thought of leaving a message. At least he's not a complete fool. But when she saw the word on the letter, just one word, ugly. It was written on the paper that today he went to the Golden Pavilion and met Chi Amethyst's fiancée. Damn it, I had told him not to leave the room before. He actually went to the Sutra Pavilion. What a coincidence to meet Saint. He's really a jerk, pouring his heart out in the letter. When are you two getting married? If we keep time traveling like this, am I supposed to help you marry him? And then he mentioned teaching Saint a lesson and boasting about his strong sense of responsibility. The last paragraph made Chi Amethyst burst into laughter. He actually managed to teach Saint a lesson, so it seems he's not entirely useless after all. She covered her mouth after saying that. Just now, her appearance was a bit lacking in the Saintess style. But the sight of a saint making a fool of themselves still made her unable to resist wanting to watch. Then she asked her maid if there was a video of today's confrontation between the treasure trove and the saint. The maid looked a little confused. Video is what it is, and Chi Amethyst quickly corrected her, saying it should be called a photo. Unconsciously, she had already incorporated modern vocabulary into her life. Unfortunately, the maids left hastily, without bringing any objects or recording anything. Upon hearing this, Chi Amethyst suddenly felt a sense of regret. The immortal cultivation world is really inconvenient in this aspect. If there is an iPair, that would be great. Since there isn't one, I'll go find it. So she ordered her maid to prepare a boat to go to Magnificent Peak. Upon returning to his own body, Lin Fan saw a pile of takeout on the table. At the same time, the doorbell rang. Lin Fan opened it to find more takeout. Suddenly, he realized and looked at the mountain of takeout boxes on the table. He quickly picked up his phone to check.